back and get ready to have the most fun you ever had with an electronic device. All right, everybody, welcome out to the Get On With It Sports Show. It is Wednesday, pardon me, June the 22nd, 2022. Jersey Johnny coming at you. And with me, as always, is none other than Mr. RadioPete, Mr. Harry Lug Nutz. Say hello, gentlemen.
Howdy.
Harry, are you under a street light?
I am. I look like I'm in a lighthouse somewhere in the 13th century.
Are you having the same? Are you having any issues like you did last week with your internet?
I have a lot of issues. I'm in my car.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Work late tonight?
Something like that. Yes.
Something like that. Gotcha. All right, cool.
All right, here's the question: Is it? Are there like a lot of storms out there?
No.
Oh, okay. So so a friend of mine posted a meme that said Colorado or Denver weathercaster said intense lightning in Colorado.
Intense.
Yeah, there's intense lightning, but they're playing indoors.
Gotcha.
Okay. They're speaking Russian in a contained.
Well, no, I was just wondering if that was why you might be having issues with you.
Well, they're still out there though, or they're playing in. I mean, they're down in Tampa,
right?
Now, right.
Right. No, it's I don't know why things break down and why the internet and cable goes out.
But it's not because of faulty weather.
No, not at all.
Okay.
I lost electricity a couple weeks back because we had a snowstorm in June.
Mm-hmm.
And above ground trees with leaves don't like snow. It's not supposed to snow when the trees have their leaves.
No, not so much.
Yes,
not so much.
So it's all relative.
Yes, it is.
It's it's like dating in Arkansas. It's all relative.
I see where you went there. All right. So we got our fun show tonight. The one we do every other week.
As opposed to the horrible, boring, miserable show that we do.
Well, I missed
do
last
other week.
I feel refreshed from missing 2 weeks in a row. It was very nice.
There you go.
I think I'm only going to show up every 3 weeks.
There you go. So, but in any event, on that
1 week, 1 week,
1 week, yeah, you missed. So, anyway, so we it was 2 full weeks, but it was 1 week of show.
Right.
Gotcha. So, all right, so let's kick it off. I got a new segment I want to introduce.
A new segment. Wow.
Just a quickie.
That's the name of the segment? Or?
Just a quickie. That's what it's called.
Because I'm going to sue you for copyright.
Brought to you by
one of the biggest,
number 12.
Most popular segments on my OnlyFans.
I was going to say, you've used that segment for quite some time now.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's on my page. It's just a quacky.
It's the quacky. Yes.
Yeah,
all right. So quickie quacky.
No,
all right.
ducks,
so all right. So it's going to be a blank. And I ask you a sentence, and then you fill in the blank.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So
it's like the old match game.
The old match game. Big Sadie was so fat when she sat around the house, she blank.
Rumbled.
Anyway, all right. She sank. There you go. I said, anyway, on that note, I was going to get into Howard Stern and Private Parts and that thing bit they did in there, right? Blank Willow.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Right. Which probably that probably came straight from Match Game.
Right. Yeah, of course it did. Yeah. They were doing the Match Game. They were doing
But I mean, that was probably actually on
the Match Game.
Yeah,
Blank Willow. Show, yeah. There you go. Blank a doodle do. So, anyway, all right. So we usually start with baseball, and this isn't really a baseball or it's a particular sports show, seeing as it's the fun one. But in that vein, I'll ask you a baseball one. We'll start with this one. We're going to do two, so we'll start with Pete on this one. We'll do Harry afterwards. So we'll start with Pete first. Pete, In the second half of the season, the Mets will blank.
Does it have to be one word or?
No, it can be 19 paragraphs if you want. It's up to you.
It's 19 paragraphs. Let me know. I'll check in later.
I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Right.
In the second half of the season, the Mets will
The second half of the season, the Mets will blank.
fade.
All right. I sad to hear that, but okay. Harry, same question.
We'll have the Atlanta Braves nipping at their heels.
Very specific.
There you go. All right. Then we'll reverse it. Harry, in the second half of the season, the Yankees will blank.
I don't want to project anything too negative, but they will be tested.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Good one. I like that. Pete, same question.
Well, since I am always wrong about everything, I will
We'll
say
say go undefeated.
they will
Never lose again.
they will go 81-0. They will run away with the division.
God, I hope this is the one time when you're right.
All right, there you go. All right, so that has been that's been just a quickie. So we
All
gotta
right.
get some music for that. Just a quickie.
Just a quickie, fill in the blank.
Just
We can do that. Just a quickie.
Yeah. I'll teach my son to write porn music, sure.
There you go.
I don't
All
think
right.
it has to be porn music. But
Well, it
yes.
doesn't. I mean,
Well,
but
I think
you
it
did what
should
you
be
just
porn
did.
music.
Just a quickie. Yeah. There you
I
go.
think it should be.
Well, it's not.
Tell
like
me,
he's-
son, which of the
it's
orchestra
not like he's
instruments
6.
Which
makes
is
the
the
most sound like bow?
isn't that a Who song? Just a quickie while she's away.
Just a quickie while she's away.
Could be.
There you go. Interesting. All right. All right. So that was that. We'll actually do one other one. But that's a new one. I want to throw that in there. Just a little quick quip,
Yeah,
nothing.
I like it.
Didn't take long. Minute done. Right. All right. So let's go. Let's move on to the quiz. This week's quiz. The
I got my
quiz.
pen and my
The quiz.
papers
Got
ready.
Pen and paper ready. Here we go.
I don't,
And
but
I'm
I'll remember.
You'll
I'm
remember.
throwing
All right.
my logic out the door. as
All right.
usual.
Time to throw the logic out the window. Here we go. Major League Baseball. A couple weeks ago, we did designated hitters, and there's your camera again. That's like I did
Yeah.
last week, just like last week. Look at that. It's pretty cool. It's kind of psychedelic.
What's the frequency, Kenneth?
Anyway,
2.
just 2. That's it.
Just 2.
So 2 weeks ago, we did Major League Baseball designated hitters 2000 through today. So we're gonna go back 1980 through 2000, 20 years.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, and the reason for this is, it had occurred to me when I started putting this together. I was going to do 90 through 2000, but it occurred to me designated hitters have longer shelf lives than position players. So it probably makes to get the really good ones, right? For a list such as this, it behooves us to do 20 years. So that's what we're going to do. So 1980 through 2000, Major League Baseball designated hitters. 1980 through 2000. 4 got to stay, 2 got to go. Who you keeping? Here we go. Ready? Write these down. I'm assuming Pete's still with us and just
I'm here.
is working
I'm
on
here.
the camera. There you go. Oh, I see a little. Your face lights up when you speak. That's pretty cool. I like
Oh, does it? Excellent.
that.
You ring around your face.
The ring around your face lights up when you speak.
It brings everyone's attention to that beautiful pose.
You gotta love it. There you go. And I've seen that face somewhere before. Hold on one second. Oh yeah, look at that.
Ryan,
Oh,
Wow.
there you go. All right.
I thought it was from Throw Mama from the Train.
this is the headshot I send in to prospective employers.
There you go.
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. There you go. All right. Oh, he's back. Look at that. All right. All right. Here we go. Write these down. Here we go.
All right.
Paul Molitor.
All right.
Paul Molitor. Edgar Martinez.
Gone.
Of course. Edgar Martinez.
Edgar Winters.
Edgar Winter.
All right.
All right. Brian Downing.
Brian Downing, the man with the giant biceps.
There you go. Brian Downing. Harold Baines.
Harold Baines.
Harold Baines. Hal McRae. And Don Baylor. So once again, Paul Molitor, Edgar Martinez, Brian Downing, Harold Baines, Hal McRae, and Don Baylor. Radio
We got to
Pete,
keep 4.
you got to keep 4. Who are you getting rid of?
All right. Brian Downing's gone. Don't know anything about him other than he has apparently gigantic biceps.
He's on that great Angels team that would have fucking kicked the Mets' ass if they didn't get shit on by the Red Sox. And Bobby Moore. Who was the guy who totally had a mental breakdown and tried to kill himself? Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Moore.
More, yeah. There's more.
Forget his first name.
Roger.
No. No
So
more.
no Downing and no who.
Who else are you getting rid of? Who are you axing besides Downing?
I like all these guys.
Well, it's the top 6
It's a
designated hitters of all time.
Pete's list is 5.
other than Big Papi maybe. And
All right, I will reluctantly.
If you put 1 or 2 on there that are obvious ones to get rid of, then everybody's gonna have the same,
I will reluctantly get rid of Don Baylor.
wow.
All right. So you're going with Paul Molitor, Edgar Martinez,
Molitor Lizard, Edgar the Great,
Harold Baines,
Harold
and Mr. McRae.
Baines, and McRae.
There you go. All right, Harry.
I hate to say this, but Pete is correct.
There you go. Wow.
Don Baylor, his on base percentage was so amazing because I think he got hit by a pitch every third at bat.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
He got hit by a pitch once. He
Don
got a hit
Baylor.
once, and then yeah.
I love Don Baylor, and I like Brian Downing. Actually, they were on 2 of my favorite teams during that period. But when you look at the other 4, excuse me, they were just. I think if you're going to pick the top, 10 designated hitters of all time, those guys are going to be at the top of that list.
Yeah.
Molitor was incredible. Played a little bit more in the field than I think people realize, but I think between he and Hal McRae, you can't take them off of any top designated hitter list. And Martinez and Baines were, their numbers are just head and shoulders above Downing and Baylor. So
Fair enough.
So there you go.
There you go.
Yeah, I got one right.
Another week that Harry and Pete agree. All right.
He thought it. He thought about it. There was no irrational, emotional axing of anybody.
Well, he did. As I was giving him, he said Edgar Martinez. He's like, God. Like,
Yeah.
Edgar Martinez. Is there anybody that's more underrated than Edgar Martinez in the history of baseball?
Probably
Yeah,
not.
I mean,
really.
When I think of Edgar Martinez, I can't even really think about what he looks like because it's like
he had that squinky eye. That's right.
Yeah.
He had one eye that was a little bit.
But he was never.
Honestly,
he was never on national television ever.
Yeah. No, not so much.
Where would you put, like, between the 2 DH lists? Where would you put Martinez?
Where would I put him?
Yeah, if we combine the last 2,
right towards the top.
maybe behind Big Papi.
Yeah, behind Big Papi. I think Hal McRae's up there too. Hal McRae had some really great numbers, and I think was it just one, or did he win 2 World Series? Did he leave the Royals? I think he played in 2 World Series and won one.
Yeah.
He was a big part of those Royals teams that were good for a very long time there in the 80s.
He was on our top 10 Royals
Yeah.
list too, right?
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of. I think they were both in the top 5. So, yeah, I'm trying to think of who else would be ahead of Edgar Martinez.
That's what I mean.
You know,
He could be. He
could be number 2.
Yeah.
A lot of people have him as number 1 because for years there, his what puts Big Papi ahead of everybody else is just his. He played in the postseason quite a bit and just was exceptional in the postseason, and was also just a big time clutch hitter. Maybe, in my lifetime, the most clutch hitter in big games. I can't think of anybody who. Reggie Jackson comes to mind, but I think if you really compare the two of them, I think Papi had more opportunities and capitalized on them more.
Yeah.
But that's who Big Papi reminded me of, with the ability to kind of spread the ball a little bit more than Reggie. But
just as a refresher, 2 weeks ago, Harry, you picked Big Papi, Nelson Cruz.
And Nelson Cruz is another one. Yeah.
Travis Hafner and the Big Hurt.
Yeah. And I think Hal McRae and Edgar Martinez are ahead of all of those. I think I mean, and I don't know who would be 4th. Nelson Cruz is another guy very much in the same realm as Edgar Martinez, where he's probably underrated and a little unknown, but was a really good designated hitter for a very, very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably people just don't. Like, his name and he's really good, but you don't really know his stats.
Right.
There's nothing that jumps out at you. There's no single thing,
right.
That
and Molitor's the other guy that I would have pretty high on that list. Paul Molitor was a hell of a player for a very, very long time.
He really was. Yeah. He really was. Pete, just so you know, you picked 2 weeks ago, you picked Big Papi, Big Hurt, and you had Jim Thome and Victor Martinez. You did not pick Nelson Cruz or Travis Hafner. So those are the 2 you differed on last week, but you got the same list this week. So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Nelson Cruz, I and the thing with Thome is that I think Tome's the one guy on this list that maybe people think was better than he actually was. He was a great player. Is he a Hall of Famer? I don't know. Thome I don't know if he's in the Hall of Fame or not.
Maybe not.
But
that was definitely an emotional pick for me, no question.
Yeah, but he's
played a lot of first base too.
Yeah.
But it's Jim Thome, man, that big old.
Well, I mean, they're all pretty iconic. They're all guys.
No, but I mean, just his Tome's look was
right.
I mean, you could say that about a lot of them too, but
with the exception of Paul,
that big square jaw and just
right. With the exception of Paul Molitor, they're all built like designated hitters.
Yeah.
None of them are going to be pinch runners.
That's true.
There's a reason why they were designated.
Unless they're pinch running for Todd Pratt.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, maybe Frank Thomas would pinch run for Jim Thome, but that's about it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. In the All-Star game.
Right. Well, what they would do is they'd all if one would pinch run from first to second, then they'd be so tired that they'd have to pinch run from second to third, and then third to home.
It'd be like the
one person hits the ball, one person runs from home to first.
Well, no, Don Baylor gets hit by a pitch, and then you just have
no one has to hit the ball. Baylor leans into one.
Right.
It'd be like the 5th inning in like the beer, like if you're playing a beer softball league.
Right.
Like, but by the time you get to like the 5th inning, no one wants to run more than one base.
I think Paul Molitor probably had more stolen bases than the rest of that list combined.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Good stuff.
Good list. Good job.
Yeah.
All right. I am on that note. I'm going to pour myself just a little nightcap of little bourbon.
Wash that bourbon right straight down.
Just a little bit. That's it. Just a little bit.
Okay. Just take care of your alcoholism, on your own time.
Well, I am. It's just a social thing. While we're talking, it's just. This was bought for me for my birthday. It's a Balcones Texas pot still bourbon. So,
there you go.
Pretty tasty. So, as you can tell, I've had so much of it already.
Yeah.
Her birthday was 2 months ago. Anyway, all right, just a tiny little splash. That's all. Anyway, all right.
We're not going to judge. You could drink right from the bottle.
On that case,
It's not like anybody's watching.
this is true. All right. All right. So moving on to we'll change the background. I don't know why we need to, but I will anyway. What the hell?
Because we can.
I love our 1987 cable television graphics.
That's what makes it so special.
That's right.
Exactly.
Come on,
All right.
it's nearly HD back there.
It is.
It's nearly. So,
HD stands for something other than high def.
only in the morning. All right. We'll. Oh, he used the cough button. Look at that.
Yeah, how about that?
Snazzy cough button. All right. Last week when you weren't on the show, Pete and I were talking about the fact that the NFL Network analysts voted LT the greatest defensive player of all time.
Yeah, no argument.
No argument at all. But they went and read the article, and they actually picked. They asked 10 of the analysts at the NFL Network to pick their top 3, and while there was a couple of different responses, 9 of the 10 of them had LT in the number 1 spot. So, being that case, I asked Pete what his top 3 defensive players of all time would be.
Dion.
I believe Dion actually wasn't on it. His number 1 was LT, his number 2 was Aaron Donald, and his number 3 was Derek Thomas. So
that's a tough one.
Mine was, just to give you mine was LT number 1, Reggie White number 2, and then I had a tie at number 3 between Aaron Donald and Emlyn Tunnell, actually.
Well, there you go. Tunnell would be, a pretty interesting choice, and I wouldn't argue with you there. I think there's probably a couple other defensive backs who are not coming to mind. That would Darrell Green might be on my list because he was so dominant for so long. Ronnie Lott. I think my top 3 would probably be. Donald's a tough one. I mean, the reason why I say that is for those 3 plays in this Super Bowl, I might have to put him on this list. I mean,
I know what puts him over the top. Yeah. This time last year, it wouldn't have been on the list.
Yeah. I mean, LT is definitely number 1. Bruce Smith is another guy that I think comes to mind.
I thought about that a couple of days after last week's show.
Yeah,
that's another one. He definitely goes unsung. The sacks that man had. Dick
Butkus.
Yeah, Dick Butkus.
Mike Singletary, but yeah, I think Derek Thomas. I think you have to go LT, Derek Thomas, and then I'm not gonna put Donald in that spot. I'm gonna wait. I think for right now, you got to put. I'm gonna put Reggie White there, but Donald could certainly take over. I think it's a very easy.
It's definitely not clear cut.
No.
There you go. Right.
And by the way, I got disinvited to Prime's my good buddy Prime's mid-August summer get-together because I put
summer get-together.
You didn't have on the list.
Because I didn't have.
Well, you did make a point to tell him he was number 4.
Yes.
Was he? I don't know. I'm going to put Ronnie Lott. Ronnie Lott's going to be my 3rd. I don't know how you don't put Ronnie Lott there.
Over Reggie White.
Yeah. Ronnie Lott. I think he was such an integral part of those 49ers teams, and he was, other than LT, he was one of the few other guys where they changed their entire game plan for him in his prime.
Yeah.
And
right.
while Dion was a great cover guy, Lai was not only a great cover guy, but he was a middle linebacker, a safety, and a corner all in one.
Yeah. That's the main reason Dion wasn't. I mean, he wouldn't make my top 3, but I did say not much of
one of the best corners of all time and has 13 career tackles.
Yeah, not much of a tackler. But yeah, Lott was kind of one of those guys in the history of the NFL who sort of kind of redefined or found like a different way to to play the position.
Yeah.
Based so much on his brain and his instinct. And, he was doing things that not a lot of guys could do because they couldn't sniff out what was happening. And Ronnie Lott could before it happened.
He covered so much territory, much like LT. What people forget about Lawrence Taylor, too, is that he was a great cover guy. He shut down tight ends and sometimes even backs and receivers. In his lateral movement, Lott could go left to right across the field better than anybody.
Yeah.
Taylor just had the most athleticism maybe of any football player I've ever seen, the exception of maybe Walter Payton. And Derek Thomas was, I think if it wasn't for Lawrence Taylor, we'd be saying the same things about Derek Thomas. Unfortunately, obviously tragedy and a really sad ending to his career and his life. And never really got the opportunity to be highlighted in prime time. But I also think Taylor and Lott really showed up in the big games. Not that Reggie White or any of these other folks didn't. And Aaron Donald is an interesting one. I guess we're going to get to see more of him, so we'll see. He may rise to the top here. He is another guy who just seems to have a football IQ that's a little bit above and beyond the other people on the field.
Fair enough.
And he's a small starter home, so he's very hard to move. And it's not like he's like a big, dude. He's just like a solid mass of concrete that you can't move, and who moves really well up and down the line of scrimmage. But yeah, they're all good. I'll take any of it. Emlyn Tennell too. I mean, was a multi-talented guy who did things other. But I mean, how many interceptions did Tennell have? I mean, insane.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Lott, Taylor, and Derek Thomas. But those other guys are not far off there.
I agree with you. And on that note, one thing on Reggie White, though, I got to ask you both a question. Reggie White doesn't leave Philly and go to Green Bay. Does Green Bay still win a Super Bowl?
Well, yeah, I think so.
Team's the same, except for Reggie White.
I mean, White was obviously a difference maker, but that first championship with Favre and White that they won, I think that team was really dominant. I think they would have won without Reggie White. They might not have. They might have lost.
They were playing Drew Bledsoe.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I mean, what diminishes, because White played in the second Super Bowl too against the Broncos, right?
Yep.
And what takes away from both his legacy and Favre's legacy was that they had no right losing that game.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and not that it was Favre's fault or Reggie White's fault, but
be careful what you say where you are.
Well, I hate the Broncos. I don't give a shit.
I'm in my car. I'm moving, so I'm good. I'll do what I want.
It's fine. I rooted for them once when they played Cam Newton, so in the Super Bowl, because
there you go.
I just can't. Yeah. No, I mean,
you don't like the dab.
The Broncos played an incredible game, and look, the one thing I will say about those Broncos teams is they had the most underrated offensive line of all time. They did. Just an incredible offensive line. Terrell Davis is, we've talked about this when we talked about running backs. Had he played 3-4 more years, I think Terrell Davis is right up there with the top 5 running backs of all time.
Mm-hmm. So there you go. All right. All right. On that note, I got one more, just a quickie for you.
Just a quickie.
We'll start with Pete. Actually, we'll start with Harry this time.
All right.
Harry. This coming season, Daniel Jones will throw for blank.
Will throw for the Edmonton Oilers. The Ottawa Rough Riders.
You're sticking with that one?
He'll throw for a while.
I think it's the Saskatchewan Rough Riders.
Yeah, he'll throw for a while.
Edmonton is the Tiger Cats, I think.
Isn't every team at Edmonton the Oilers?
They all are, yeah. So, Pete, same question. Daniel Jones will throw.
What was the actual answer?
He said a while.
A while.
A while.
Daniel Jones will throw. Well, it's the word "for" that makes this one difficult.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take the word "for" out of there. We'll throw.
Do you want to change your answer, Harry?
No.
Okay.
We'll throw to the opposite team.
To the opposite team. All right, Pete. This upcoming season, Daniel Jones will throw blank.
Daniel Jones will throw away his starting job with the Giants.
There you go. Much more eloquent. Maybe.
And there's that. I mean that as a double entendre.
There you go. All right. Yeah, I see what you did there. All right, Pete, to you. This upcoming season, Zach Wilson will throw blank.
We'll throw up before the season opener.
We'll throw up before every game.
Up before every game.
Zach Wilson will throw. So many ways to cop out on this. I think he will throw more interceptions than touchdowns.
More INTs than TDs. Harry?
We'll throw 10 more touchdowns than he did last year.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any idea how many he threw last year?
Not a lot.
We can find out. We have the technology.
I think it'll be 10 more.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
I mean, that doesn't mean that I disagree with your assessment. But
he'll throw 35 more interceptions than he had last year, but 10 more touchdowns.
I actually don't think he'll throw more interceptions. I think he's going to have a pretty efficient year. Supposedly, he's had a hell of an offseason. Training wise.
He threw 9 interceptions. He threw 9 TDs and 11 interceptions.
Yeah, I think he'll throw
19.
19 to 20 touchdowns this year. I mean, I would hope so.
There you go.
I hope so too. I'll be happy to be wrong about this one.
Yeah.
Well, last year he threw more INTs than TDs. So
right.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be a huge disparity.
No.
I don't think it's going to be 15 more or 9 more. It might be 4 or 5, but I think he'll be a little bit under with the touchdowns.
Well, maybe he'll be 20 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. Something like that.
Then he would be wrong.
If he's 20 touchdowns and 22 interceptions, that could still be a relatively successful season.
As long as none of those or only 1 or 2 of those were pick sixes.
Right, or
then at that point, if they're all pick sixes, then he threw 42 touchdowns, right? Just 22.
Yeah, that's true. We have to figure. Is a pick six count as a touchdown? Or if he has a couple of really bad games where he throws 3 or 4, let's say he has a game where he throws 3 and he has a game where he throws 4. Well, that's 7 out of the 22.
I think he's going to improve. I think he's going to improve.
All right, fair enough. All right, well, we're coming up on the.
the Jets did finally. Look, the Jets have a very weak receiver core, with the exception of the one guy who's really good at punt returns and kickoff returns.
Right.
They need to get him the ball in the open field.
This is true. So, all right.
Lots of Berrios this year.
Berrios, there you go.
Braxton Berrios.
Lots of
great name.
Braxton Berrios.
Sounds like a disease.
Actually,
it sounds like Braxton Berrios.
Sounds like a cereal.
Sounds like an R&B singer from the late 80s, early 90s.
It's a breakfast cereal sponsored by an R&B singer.
That's right.
What did you have this morning? I had some Braxton Berrios.
That's Tony Braxton after she got married, right?
Tony Braxton's breakfast
Tony Braxton Berrios.
Tony Braxton's brand breakfast. Tony Braxton's brand muffins.
Tony Braxton's Berrios.
Blueberry flavored Cheerios.
Does his friends call him Brax?
Soul flakes.
Maybe.
Braxton Berrios Soul Flakes.
Braxton Berrios Soul Flakes. All right. That'll wrap up any football talk. Let's get to the top 10 list. What do you think?
Top 10. You go, girl.
All right. We actually have a top 10 list. We're back to top 10 lists. We've come out of the teams, the NBA teams. We have a top 10 list. Still NBA. It's an NBA top 10 list, but tonight's top 10 list is top 10 NBA championship winning teams of all time. Top 10 NBA.
Couldn't you just say top 10 NBA championship teams?
Of all time.
Yeah, but the winning is redundant, isn't it?
Championship winning teams, not just championship. They didn't get to the they didn't get to the championship and lose.
Championship insinuates that they were champions, so they would have to have won.
I could then it would be top 10 NBA champions of all time.
Championship teams.
Yeah. Championship teams. Okay. All right. Either way. It's the top 10 NBA teams that won the championship. How's that? All right. There you go. All right. So, and in true Get On With It Sports podcast fashion,
we have 37.
We have 1,100.
11, yes. We have 13.
Oh, God.
It's just the way the numbers. That's
my fault.
Because Pete put the fucking 2004 Nets on there.
See, this is why I put a couple of Nets teams on there. I didn't know it was champion winning.
The 71 Nets.
Yeah, it's NBA, not ABA. There you go. All right, here we go.
When I put thought into things, I get inside my own head and
deadlift shrimp.
There you go. All right, let's kick it off with number 10. Number 10 is going to be the 2015-2016 Cleveland Cavaliers, and that's why I just picked to wear that this week. Anyway, they went 57-25 in the regular season, and they beat the Warriors in 7 games. They defeated the Warriors 4-3. There you go. And
with J.R.
Yes.
What's it? After being down 3-1 by the way.
We all know.
This is true. Yes, after being down.
And a couple of sweeps on their way there, so
there you go. All right.
And they had Kyrie.
They did. It was all because of Kyrie.
Yeah, absolutely. Had nothing to do with LeBron.
None at all.
No.
None whatsoever.
Just they had a better team than people gave him credit for. Kevin Love was also no slouch on that team.
Yeah, Kevin Love, the double-double machine.
Yeah. Kevin Love led the NBA in scoring a few years before that.
He did.
I put him on my list because of what they did in the finals. That's kind of the tactic I took.
I got you.
That you could look at them and look at the players, and of course they had LeBron, and go, I don't know, this wasn't a great team. It was a good team, but man, they got in the playoffs, and I mean, this is one of the, if not the biggest finals comeback in history, maybe, against that Warriors team that had, thumped them the year before.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's impressive.
Already.
Very impressive. All right. That brings us to number 9. Number 9. This week's number 9 is the 2012-2013 Miami Heat.
Build-A-Bear team.
There you go. What you call it? Head coach Eric Spoelstra. They went 66-16 that year. They finished first in the Southeast, first in the Eastern. They defeated the Spurs in 7 games, 4-3, and that was the big 3: LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh, and that was the best record that the 3 of them had, and the Heat's best record too. So there you go. That's our number 9, Miami Heat.
Number 9.
12-13 Heat. There we go. All right. Number 8 is going to be the 88-89 Detroit Pistons.
That's right. They held opponents to 64 points a game.
Dude. They went 63-19 that year. Finished first in the Central and first in the Eastern Conference. And they defeated the Lakers. They swept the Lakers that year. Swept them 4-0.
An aging Lakers team.
Yes, it was. Mm-hmm. And and who was your favorite? Who was your favorite player on the Pistons that year, Harry?
Oh, I don't know. Vinny Microwave Johnson.
I was going to say the microwave. Probably.
Microwave, definitely. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. There you go. Number 8, 88-89 Detroit Pistons. All right. Moving to number 7. Number 7 is, of course, the 64 through 65 Boston Celtics. Head coach Red Auerbach, 62-18 in the regular season. They finished first in the Eastern Conference, and they defeated the Lakers as well that year. Gentlemen's sweep, 4-1. There you go. What do they have? Jeez.
I mean, in all honesty, we really could have just had Lakers and Celtics as 5 and 5.
5 and 5 of them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And some of these teams I left off, I was just like, or Bulls. I can't have another one of them. So, yeah. But yeah, 64-65 Celtics, I think. I think second best Celtics team of all time.
Mm-hmm. I think, yeah, definitely. It was one of the 10 greatest, definitely one of the 10 greatest teams in NBA history. Not even just because of our list, because of
and I think up until the mid '80s, some people probably would have had this team in the top 2 or 3 all time.
Yeah, I would agree with that, definitely. So, all right, number 7, the 64-65 Boston Celtics. Go ahead.
No, you skipped over the Sixers.
I didn't get there yet.
Oh, am I looking at the wrong list?
You're looking at the designated hitters. All right.
76ers aren't number 8?
Are they number 8?
Yeah. You went from the Pistons to the Celtics.
That's not true. Hold on here. Got to pull up the other list. There's too many copies and pastes going on here.
Okay.
Hold the phone. Let's just check it out. Let's do the check-in. Hold on. Talk amongst yourselves.
Now we're talking about the 2016 76ers, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because there's 2 number 9s. Miami and Detroit were number 9.
Yeah, you know what? We missed the Detroit.
I'm guessing it's the 82, 83 76ers.
There you go. Hold on.
Yes.
Let's hide that for a second here. Detroit Pistons were tied at number 9.
Okay.
The Celtics
were number 8.
7.
Are number 7. And there's a number 8. And let's put it on. Let's do it right. We got to do it right. Hold on one second. 7. I'm sorry, 8.
You're gonna love this one, Harry.
You're gonna absolutely. Gotta love it. There we go. It's let me just type here. You can talk while I'm typing.
Oh, okay.
I can't do 2 things at once.
Well, plus you're driving, so don't be doing that.
I'm parking, but yes.
Oh, okay. Now, are you on? You're on your phone. Are you on somebody's Wi-Fi? Are you in a Starbucks parking lot?
No.
You're sneaking onto their Wi-Fi.
No Wi-Fi. No, just my cellular service.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I hope you got a lot of data.
Well,
there we go. All right. Hold on. We're almost done. Just a little.
All right, here we go.
Just a little
our graphics department is Jimmy.
Second to none.
This is like C-SPAN in the 70s.
Jimmy's getting devoted.
Jimmy's getting demoted tomorrow. All right, here we go. All right, so scratch that. The Detroit Pistons from the 88-89 season were tied for number 9. We already did number 7, so we'll go back to number 8. Number 8 is going to be, let's put it up. Here we go. The 66 through 67 Philadelphia 76ers.
Wow, the Wilt the Stilt Sixers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best Sixers team, without a doubt.
There you go.
Yeah.
Let's find out where they're...
I think they beat Boston that year, right?
They beat them 4-1.
Yeah. And then they beat the Lakers?
They beat the Warriors 4-2.
The Warriors, that's right, with not Jerry. What's his name? Who's the star of the Warriors? We were just talking about him last week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. 66-67 Sixers.
Hold on.
Glad we went back and got those.
We had to get them right. Had to get them right.
Come on, we don't want to diss our Philly fan.
That's right.
We were just talking about last week.
What was the top Warriors? Who's the what's
Nate Thurman?
No, the point guard, the shooting guard, one of the small forward, one of the best players of all time. Who am I thinking of?
Oh,
underhand free throw shooter.
Jeff Mullins.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
Chris Mullins.
Jeff
Mullins, I think, played for like the Indiana Pacers in the early 90s and averaged 1.3 points a game.
Rudy.
Barry. Brent.
Was it Rick fucking Barry?
Rick fucking Barry. There you go.
There you go.
All
right. So, yeah, number 8 is the 66 through 67 Philadelphia 76ers.
The 66ers.
The 66ers that year. So, all right. And then, of course, number 7, we have to go through it again, is the 64-65.
Number 6.
Celtics. So we're going to number 6. We have a 3-way tie for number 6.
3-way, 666.
There you go. So the first one is the 2000-2001 Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah, they just dominated. Again, to Pete's point, they just dominated in the postseason. Or they 15-2 in the postseason.
Yeah. Crazy. 56 and 26
Shaq
in the regular
averaged
season.
like 38 points a game or something like that.
Gentlemen sweep 4-1 over Philadelphia, over the 76ers.
Yeah. Allen Iverson.
They swept Portland in the first round.
Yeah, not that impressive.
No, but still.
Yeah.
I mean, this was
the Rick Fox, Kobe Bryant, Shaq.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Trailblazers with
George Mears,
Wallace, Sabonis, Sean Kemp.
Sean Kemp wasn't on the Trailblazers.
Jack Kemp.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that was the 72, 74, 77 Trailblazers.
Exactly. Anyway, all right. So also tied for number 6 is the 1970-1971 Milwaukee Bucks.
Oscars only.
Little Big O.
Man, did Kareem dominate. They grew. What are they, 12-2 in the playoffs, something like that? Yeah, they cruised. 12-1 maybe.
12-1.
Yeah, 12-1.
Mm-hmm.
They cruised. The Big O gets his ring.
There you go. 66 and 16 in the regular season. First in the Midwest, first in the Western Conference, and they annihilated the Bullets 4-0.
Yeah, really good Wes Unseld. I mean, man, Wes Unseld was there a lot in that era. These years of like 69, 70, 71 to like 73, some great teams, especially in the East. You had to go through some really good teams to get out of the East. The Knicks were great. The Bullets were great. The Bucks were great. Obviously, you still had the Celtics doing their thing. Yeah, pretty impressive series of playoffs there. And then in the finals, you had teams that kind of bounced back and forth and played each other. There were some good rivalries going on at that time.
This is true. All right. There you go. 1970, 1971 Milwaukee Bucks also tied for number 6. And also tied for number 6 would be the 1971-1972 Los Angeles Lakers.
So first championship they had.
Yep. 69-13 they went that year.
Yeah.
First in the Pacific, first in the
and
West.
They finally beat the Celtics, right?
Yeah, and they beat the Knicks that year.
Oh, they beat the Knicks that year. That's right. That's right. Knicks beat them the year before, and then they beat them again 2 years later, right?
2 years after this, yeah.
Yeah.
Then the 70.
This was Wilt. This was Wilt's last year.
Yep.
Wasn't it? Yep.
Yes, it was.
By the way, Sean Kemp was on the Trailblazers in 2000, 2001.
Was he?
Yep.
Did he play?
I don't know. I'll look up his stats.
Did anybody else know he was on?
I don't know.
He didn't tell anybody. He sat on the bench eating popcorn.
Took the wrong exit to Seattle and wound up in Portland.
Started 3 games.
Yeah, there you go. So
played in 68, started 3.
Technically, you are correct, but
he was a backup.
Yeah, he was a backup's backup.
He came in with 1 minute and 19 seconds left to go in the game.
He came in after Rasheed Wallace fouled out in the third quarter.
Exactly.
Let's see. Yeah. Let's see. For Portland, 2 seasons, over 2 seasons, 143 games, 8 starts,
1.9 points per game.
What is 14 minutes a game? Roughly 14 minutes, 16 minutes a game.
He could always fall back on his outside shooting.
There you go. Yes, he can.
I mean, in his prime, Sean Kemp was just something to behold.
Yeah, 6 points a game.
I mean, people talk about Zion Williamson. Sean Kemp was every bit as dynamic as Zion.
No, yeah, he was a monster.
True story. There you go. All right. That brings us to number 5. Number 5 is going to be the 91-92 Bulls.
The damn Bulls creep in. What is it? Number 5 through 1? Oh, fucking Bulls teams.
Bulls, Lakers, Bulls, Celtics.
This was their first championship team, right? First one Jordan won. Horace Grant. Scottie Pippen. This is the B.J. Armstrong, not Steve Kerr era.
This was the second championship they won.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. They won in 91, they won in 92, and they won in 93.
Oh, okay, that's right. 90, 91.
This was the John Paxson series.
That's right.
See, that Bulls, you define them by
which white guy that
like who hit
doesn't play any defense is Jordan's gonna let shoot.
Yeah. So you got the Paxson series, you got Steve Kerr series,
B.J. Armstrong. B.J. Armstrong went on to play for a couple of different teams. I think B.J. Armstrong has like 3 rings, doesn't he? Doesn't matter. Horace Grant, second best player on that team.
There you go. And the 91-92 Bulls beat the Trailblazers.
That's right, with Sean Kemp.
With Sean Kemp. Hey.
MJ 36-6. Pippen 21-7-7.
Yeah. How about Horace Grant?
They don't have his numbers here. It's just kind of a summary. But I'm sure he led in intimidations.
And goggles. Coolest goggles other than Kareem. All right. Number 4.
All right. There you go. All right. Sorry about that. Just looking at a stat there. All right. That brings us to number 4. Number 4 is going to be the 2016-2017 Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
They defeated the Cavs.
So exciting.
4-1. They went 67-15 that year. First in the Pacific. Obviously finished first in the Western Conference. And there you go.
What did Durant average in the finals? 33, 34, something like that?
Yeah, I'm actually pulling those stats up right now. Where is it?
16-1 in their playoff championship run.
Yeah, they were pretty dominant.
I think the 2000 Lakers went 15-1. So
that's right. That was also the year where they changed the rules where you could not be within 6 feet. It was like pre-COVID rules. You could not be within 6 feet of a player on the defensive side of the board. So it was good.
Yeah, I mean, this was a good team.
Great team
before KD got there, and
Durant's field goal percentage was
58%.
56%. Yeah. Points per game, 28.5.
28.5. I think his finals average is like
Curry only had 28.1.
Yeah,
Durant had 28.5. Only 20. Well, Klay Thompson only had 15.
Yeah, Klay Thompson's a great piece on that team, but
Draymond Green only had 13.1.
That's probably the highest he's ever averaged in a playoff series.
Yeah, that might be the highest.
Andre Iguodala, guess how much she had?
Didn't he win it? Didn't well? He probably got 7 that year, but
Oh my God, you're right on the mark. 7.2.
he was. But their first championship, he was the Finals MVP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True story. So there you go. All right. 2016, 2017 Golden State Warriors are number 4. Moving to number 3 on our list is the 85-86 Boston Celtics.
Yeah, what a team.
Yeah, good team.
The shortest shorts ever assembled and the ugliest group of motherfuckers ever put on a basketball court. But man, could they play.
Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Bob Parrish.
DJ.
Yeah. Great team. Great team. So
Wasn't Paxton on this team too? Danny Ainge.
No, but Sean Kemp was on it though.
Sean Kemp wasn't even in college yet, but he was on his team. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, and I mean this was a great era, right? The
Yeah.
Celtics and the Lakers going at it every year or every other year, and
Absolutely. If you guys haven't seen that documentary series about the Celtics and Lakers, it's worth a watch. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Celtics beat the Rockets this year.
Yeah, the Rockets with the Twin Towers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they beat the Bulls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Although that was before they were the Bulls, but
The Bulls.
Sure.
The Bulls.
Yeah, but that Rockets team beat the Lakers. So upset the Lakers, and they Hakeem, that was the first time everybody was like, "Who the hell is this Hakeem guy? He's pretty fucking damn good."
A little bit. Yeah. Too bad he won 8 years later.
Yeah, well,
That's a story for another day. So, all right, that brings us to number 2. Number 2 is shocker, the 86-87 Los Angeles Lakers.
yeah. I mean, as good as those Celtics teams were, when you look at this, when you have Bob McAdoo coming off the bench, it's just like, all right, come on. It's Byron Scott was coming off the bench, wasn't he? It's just like, give me a break. What was it? I think the starting 5 was Magic, Cooper, Kareem, obviously, Kurt Rambis, and James Worthy. That's a pretty spectacular starting 5.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Bob McAdoo. I think coming off the bench and playing like 16 minutes in the playoffs, averaged like 29 points a game or something like that. Yeah.
yeah. And then you got AC Green and Michael Thompson. Who
Was AC Green there for that?
AC Green was there, yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't there for their first, but he came in later that year. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So and don't forget, and Sean Kemp was coming in off the bench.
Sean Kemp was
Sean Kemp was
came in from middle school.
Exactly.
Came in from high school, and
yeah. Good thing the games were at night. So
that's right.
Right, exactly. But he had to be home by 10. So
right. Yeah, that team was amazing, and I think what makes them so great is that they beat they beat some really good teams. I mean, the competition at that time was pretty intense.
Yeah, it was. All right.
They beat the Lakers. The Celtics that year in the finals, right?
Yeah,
they beat the Celtics in the finals. Yeah, 4-2.
Yeah,
there you go. All right, that brings us to our number 1 team of all time, number 1 championship team of all time, and of course, that would be none other than the
1999 Detroit Pistons. Oh.
95-96 Chicago Bulls. They went 72-10.
Yeah, they were very dominant. Can you say that they were that much better than like the 91, 92? I mean,
I
think they were a little bit better. Yeah.
Yeah.
More incrementally, but they were a little
incrementally, and they were. It was a little bit more of a. It was a bit of a story. You had the change out of Horace Grant for Dennis Rodman, and you had the Steve Kerrs of the world taking over for the John Paxsons of the world, and then of course Sean Kemp.
Sean Kemp. I mean, who could forget Sean Kemp
and Jack Kemp? Yeah,
right, exactly. They beat the Sonics though, 4-4.
Yeah, and I think that Sonics team, if I'm not mistaken, they were only like 3 or 4 games behind them in the wins in the regular season, weren't they? I thought the Sonics also had a phenomenal record going into the playoffs. I could be wrong.
The Sonics were 64-18, so they were 8 games behind them.
Yeah.
That's
Still
not
60,
bad though. 64
yeah.
wins.
Yeah.
And look, the Sonics were down 0-3
right
in the finals, and won a couple of games. So you could say, well, it wasn't as close as the 4-2 score, but still, it's
those are the only 2 games the Bulls lost in the playoffs, right?
In the playoffs, yeah.
They swept. I think they swept the other 2 rounds.
I think there's one other.
I don't know. I think they only lost 2.
Playoffs? No, they did. They lost one in the semifinals to the Knicks.
They did lose one to the Knicks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Knicks won Game 3 in OT.
Yeah, that was not the Charles Smith years. That was earlier, but yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, this was a great team.
They beat Shaq and the Magic, who had beaten them the year before.
Who had beaten them the year before. Yeah.
Swept them.
Yeah.
Yeah, a pretty good team.
Exactly.
Luke, this was the Luke
The
Longley.
the 94-95 Bulls were a little bit of a different team.
Or was this is the Luke Longley years and the Tony Kukoc year?
Longley Kukoc era.
You have to. The Bulls were. It was either Bill Wennington, Bill Cartwright, or Luke Longley.
Well, wasn't Cartwright there for all of them? He just didn't start.
No, Cartwright started the first year that they won it.
Right. But I mean, he stayed.
He was he was long gone by this time.
Yeah, I guess he must have been.
Yeah. He looked like he was 43 when he came into the league.
Luke Longley?
No. Bill Cartwright.
Bill Cartwright.
Drafted by none other than your New York Knicks.
There you go.
Yeah, my college roommate called him Bill the Bag.
Luke Longley was probably the best center out of all of them. I mean, Cartwright, I think career-wise was better, but Longley was a good player. Michael Jordan used to ride him because he was a lazy son of a bitch. But Luke Longley was a pretty decent basketball player. Certainly had more range than Bill Wennington or Bill Cartwright. Cartwright was a hell of a defender, though, and a tough rebounder. Kind of in the role, he became more of a Robert Parrish type player. When Bill Cartwright first came in the league, he was probably a 25-12 guy.
Yeah,
he's the best player on the Knicks until they drafted Ewing.
This is true.
I mean, because Bernard King got hurt. But yeah, that was a good team. Fucking Bulls.
Fucking Bulls. All right. Well, there you go. Number 1 team of all time, the 95-96 Chicago Bulls. All right. That brings us to this week's Old Balls. Old Balls. Harry, tell us who this week's Old Balls is.
This week's Old Balls is a team that, quite honestly, I think is underrated. And for a lot of older basketball fans, if you ask them for their top 10 teams of all time, this team would be in there. I didn't put him in my top 10 because I wanted to talk about him a little bit more in this segment. But that's the 69-70 New York Knicks. And I'm going to include a caveat by saying it's kind of the same team as the 72-73 Knicks, which also won a championship. This team, though, had something. The story of this team was more magical. So, and I think everybody knows it. But this was a team that went on to go to the NBA Finals against the Lakers and Wilt. Willis Reed goes down. The Knicks, who were up, lose badly, and then come back to the Garden in Game 7. And we all know the story. But what gets lost in the story is just how dominant of a game Walt Frazier had. I would argue that he had the best Game 7 performance in NBA history. And yes, Willis Reed came out, hit 2 baskets, and went back to the showers. And it was very inspirational. This is why I think Walt Frazier is the best Knick of all time. And if you look at what he did, look, the Knicks won it this year. I believe they lost it the next year, right? Or lost in the Eastern Conference Finals to the Bullets or something. They were there for 3 or 4 years in a row. And they won 2 and probably could have won a third. I think we would have been talking about the Knicks had they been able to squeak out that third championship.
They lost to the Bullets in 71.
Yeah.
They lost to the Lakers in the NBA Finals in 72, right. And then
that was a team that was ranked in the top 10 of all time. So
then beat the Lakers in '73.
And the Knicks had some bad luck with injuries in the finals. You know, we talk about injuries now with a lot of players. The Knicks were kind of ahead of their time in that realm. I mean, they had a lot of really bad injuries, especially to Willis Reed, but they had some other players that kind of went down. But they had some great role players, probably the best passing team of all time. And I think 5 guys on this team were in the NBA, the original NBA, top 50 of all time. It's a hell of a team. When you talk about guys like Bill Bradley and Dave DeBusschere, Willis Reed, Walt Frazier, Dick Barnett, and then the team sort of morphed a little bit when they got Earl Monroe from the Bullets. But again, Willis Reed was there again, but they were so deep, and their stars could go down and they could still win games. And I think they were, they had beaten a really, really, really good Boston team this year as well, and then went on to beat a really talented Lakers team, which was heavily favored. It's not like they beat a bunch of scrubs. They beat Jerry West and Wilt Chamberlain and Elgin Baylor in the finals. This was a great team. I'm not just saying it because I'm a Knicks fan. I think they get lost in the shuffle a little bit. I think people forget about this team, but for 4 or 5 years there, the Knicks were a really great team. And look, winning 2 championships is, but they haven't done it since. That's this.
Yeah, I mean, the last time they were mentioned was Jackson coming back to the team, right?
Yeah.
To take Phil Jackson and the Knicks, and he played, and now he's going to come back.
Jackson was kind of the 6th, 7th, 8th guy up the bench, the defensive specialist.
Right.
Him and Pat. He was what Pat Riley was to the Lakers. He was on the Knicks. So
but that's when people were talking about this team in that era.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of get lost in the shuffle. It was a really good team, though.
A little bit before our time. I was alive, but I don't, I wasn't conscious enough to remember it all. But I wish I was, because it just sounds like it's. Who knows if I'll ever see another championship in my lifetime in New York? But this was a great team. This was a really, really great team, and they were deep. So nobody's numbers really jumped out because they were an unselfish team who really any one of 5, 6, 7 guys could on any given night could lead the team in scoring. When you had Cassie Russell and Dick Barnett come, I mean, it was a really stacked team, and they were great defensively. And with Willis Reed, Walt Frazier, Dave DeBusschere, I mean, right there you got 3 of I think the most underrated players in NBA history, and 3 of the best Knicks of all time. Mm-hmm. So a great team. Dave DeBusschere, and my dad talks about Dave DeBusschere. My dad and uncle just talked about. I mean, he was a monster. That guy could score, rebound. He was an undersized power forward who played against some of the best guys in the league, and a lot of times wound up covering guys like Wes Unseld and Wilt Chamberlain. So yeah, really great Knicks team.
On our top 10 Knicks, right?
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I love Charles Oakley, but he's no Dave DeBusschere.
Neither is Sean Kemp.
He's no
Sean Kemp.
He's no Ryan Tannehill either.
No, definitely, without a doubt.
Sam Bradford Darnold.
Right. It's definitely not that guy.
Exactly. All right. There you go. The 1969-1970 New York Knicks. 6 weeks. Old balls. Old balls. All right. Well, there you have it. Pete, I know you have a couple of things that you wanted to
just
tend to, if you will.
Fun stuff. Not going to take too long, but a couple things that you might have heard or might not have heard about one streak continuing and another streak ending, because we're talking about the Knicks, or just we're talking about the Knicks. Did you know? Well, you know what? Maybe I should make this the over-under.
Make it the over-under.
All right, let's make this the over-under, because hopefully you haven't heard. Have you heard about the ex-Knick player in the final streak?
Have I heard about the next Eclair?
The ex New York Knick. Yeah, the next Eclair. The ex New York Knick player being in the NBA Finals. There's a streak. Have you guys heard of this?
There's a streak of ex New York Knick players being in the NBA Finals.
Okay.
So you guys haven't heard of this?
No.
All right. No. So let's make this the over/under.
So
I'm going to give you. You're going to pick a year.
Okay.
I'll give you a year. and you'll say over or under. Under will be before the year that I say. Over will be after the year that I say. So there is a continuous streak in the NBA Finals every single year since, and we'll find out when, there has been an ex-Knick player in the finals.
I got you.
So I'm going to give you a year, and you're going to say over or under.
Over is...
Over, you think the streak started after the year that I say.
Mm-hmm.
Under, you think the streak started before the year that I say.
Gotcha. Fair enough.
Got this?
Yep.
All right. Ex-Knick player in the NBA Finals every single year since 1954.
What was that again?
1954. There has been an ex-Knick player in the NBA Finals every single year since 1954.
Okay,
Under, you think it started before 54. Over, you think it started after 54. No looking it up.
Whatever that is.
Yeah, so you'll say it'll either be 55 or later, or it'll be 53 or sooner.
55 or later.
So you're going over. John?
I'm
looking it up.
I'm not looking up. Harry's light went out.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I got to drive. I'm losing power, so.
Gotcha.
Oh, all right.
Which one? I'm gonna play the opposite end of the stick. I'm gonna say under.
You're gonna say under.
Mm-hmm.
Well, John, you are absolutely correct.
It's before 54.
Wow.
Yes. There has been an ex-Knick player in the NBA Finals, including this year, since 1947.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's pretty wild. And this year it is.
What's great is there hasn't been a current Knicks player in the NBA Finals since 1959.
This year's recipient is the Celtics' Luke Cornett. Or Cornett.
That's right. He was drafted by the Knicks, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think he's one of the...
he played on that 71-72 team.
Yeah. So he is technically on the... He actually did play on the Celtics. He averaged less than a 1 in everything. Points, rebounds, whatever. But he's keeping the streak alive. So there since 47, you figure out how many years that is. What is that?
70,
years?
75, 76 years.
Now, let me ask you a question. If by some miracle the Knicks make it to an NBA Finals and their opponent does not have an ex-Knicks player, and then the next year that player becomes an ex-Knick that was on the Knicks, does the streak stay alive?
Yes. Well, if he goes to the finals. In other words, the years that the Knicks were in the finals, that counts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we include that because
so it wasn't their opponent didn't have an ex-Knicks player. So the question is really an ex-Knicks player or a current Knicks player.
Well, let me see here.
In other words, did the Lakers have a Knicks player on the team in the early 70s, and did Houston and the Spurs have an ex-Knicks player on the team in the 90s?
They were somehow... Okay, here we go. Well, I guess they're saying here they were somehow involved in every finals. And according to the post here, in every season since 47, a former New York Knicks player has made the NBA Finals. So I guess that would include the seasons when the Knicks made the finals.
There you go.
Someone on the other side was an ex-Knick.
Wow, pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's insane. How many years did we say? 70?
75, 76, yeah.
I think that's as long as the Knicks have been around, haven't they?
So next year, the Knicks are going to play Carmelo Anthony in the finals.
Yeah, there we go.
That's what it means. Yeah, there you go.
So that streak continues. Now, well, let's move to the Stanley Cup Finals. There's another streak
also
which is... Yeah. There's another streak that is just ending. And I'll ask you this number.
Players with mullets?
No. This year's Stanley Cup Final is the first in a number of years without a Jaromir Jagr connection. That is, without a teammate of Jaromir Jagr or Jaromir Jagr himself in the final.
Interesting.
So that is, let's see, Jagr came into the league in 1990. But this streak goes back to 1980.
Wow. A connection to Jaromir Jagr all the way back to 1980 in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah. So 41 years, somebody who played with Jaromir Jagr has been in the Stanley Cup Finals, if not Jagr himself.
If not Jagr
I think he was in the finals at least the first 2 years in the league, I believe.
So when he was like 10 years old, somebody played with him. And
someone who would eventually become his teammate going 10 years back before his career started.
You have too much time on your hands.
That's an impressive streak, too. Not as impressive as the Knicks.
Yeah.
But
the Knicks have been around since 1947. 46. 46. So
there you go.
But they started in 46. So if that 1947 is obviously the championship, the finals in 47, every single year they have been around, an ex-Knick a former Knick has been in there.
Since they've been 1 year old.
So somebody was on the team, got traded mid-season, and went to the championship.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's basically what it boils down to.
Insane.
Okay.
Speaking of things that have never happened before,
all right.
We know what a no-hitter is.
Yep.
We know what a perfect game is.
Yep.
But what is an immaculate inning?
An immaculate inning is
9 pitches.
9 pitches.
9 pitches, right. Strike it out the side in 9 pitches.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what has never happened 2 times in a single game before yesterday?
An immaculate inning. 2
immaculate innings, yeah. It
Same
was
team?
The Astros against Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And Luis Garcia threw an immaculate inning in the 2nd inning. And then later on, Phil Maton in the 7th threw an immaculate inning.
Both for the Astros.
And both for the Astros, yes. And the catcher for the Astros, Martin Maldonado, throws the ball down to third, starts the, around the horn that you do after a strikeout. And the dugout is screaming for the ball. You got to get that ball. You got to get that ball. First time in Major League history, 2 immaculate innings in the same game, even though they were, 4 innings apart. But
wow.
So there we go. Nobody saw it, of course, because it was the Astros and the Rangers. And
they saw in Texas.
Yeah, assumedly. But even then, the ratings were scarce, I imagine. So
gotcha.
I don't know. The Astros, baseball's pretty big in Texas. Both those teams have pretty big fan bases.
Yeah, I know. It's just the Rangers are not any good.
Well, they're not. They're better than they were last year.
Yeah, that's true.
They also have 7 ex-Knicks playing for them right now.
There you go.
Yeah, that's true.
And Sean Kemp.
Well, and look, they started off terribly. They're getting a little better, right? We talked about they made some big moves in the offseason. The Rangers did. So, they've probably come a long way from. Didn't they go like 3-14 or something to start the season? So.
Well, they've got some big names, but their depth at pitching is not there.
Yeah,
and and not all of those offseason acquisitions are firing or having years that they thought they would have as of yet. But
right.
Yeah, I think that we all knew that their pitching was going to be a challenge for them, and it sort of has been. And their offense is a little erratic, but I think they're a team to look out. I wouldn't want to be playing Texas towards the end of the season. I think they're going to be a team to look out for in that division. But I mean, the Astros are one of the best teams in baseball, and they have been for a very long time.
All right, moving on. Speaking of pitching, and bad teams, really. Speaking of bad teams, how bad are the Tigers? They're terrible.
Right.
So there's a young man on the Detroit Tigers, just came up a couple of weeks ago, named Clemens. Speaking of guys named Clemens on the mound. Now, Cody Clemens.
Not a pitcher.
Not a pitcher. He's a position player. But the Tigers are so bad, they used 3 position players in a game against the White Sox that they lost 13-0. One of them was Cody Clemens. So he came in and...
So Clemens was on the mound in Detroit the other day.
Cody Clemens was on the mound pitching the 8th inning, gave up a run. And what was funny is the Tigers manager, who's A.J. Hinch, said that because remember the Tigers got beat up by the Yankees, 13-0 on I guess a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
and they did not. That was a chance that they could have put another Clemens, on the mound at Yankee Stadium, but Hinch did not do that. He went with,
Hinch didn't do that.
At this point, just let Robbins pitch for him.
So don't think Cody Clemens has any aspirations to be a big league pitcher, but he's got one inning under his belt.
There you go.
His ERA is 9 right now, so
there you go.
Not bad.
Yeah.
That's about it.
All right.
Yeah, that's all the weird stuff that I could find.
Well, I know you wanted to mention something about Joe Madden. Right?
Oh yeah. Wait. Sorry, I got to go to my other list. Forgot about that. Oh yeah, there's 2 other things. Well, we'll do the pickleball last. So you want to throw up the picture of Joe Madden?
Sure. There you go.
So recently fired by the Angels. Here's the kind of sad part. Joe Madden was trying to spark the Angels, right? They were in I think a 12-game losing streak, or 12 or 14. It's just, toiling in obscurity. We've talked about that. So Joe Madden went out and got a mohawk. The problem is he got fired before he got to show it to the team. He was hoping that getting a weird haircut would sort of loosen the team up, get them out of their funk, and maybe get them back on track. But he never got the chance to show him because he got the axe. So here's what Joe Madden's mohawk might have looked like.
There you go.
Very nice.
Now, whether that would have inspired the Angels, I don't know. But either way, they never.
Robert Fripp.
He's breaking up. You broke up. Would you say Robert Fripp?
I said he looks like Robert Fripp on a 6-8 bender there.
There you go. There you go. Actually, he does. There you
go. Actually, I got a couple of things here. So, Joe Girardi was fired by the Phillies. He was. A couple of weeks ago.
Did he get a mohawk?
No, he didn't get a mohawk. 22-29 at the time. Rob Thompson, who was the bench coach, promoted for the rest of the season, interim coach till the end of the season. Phillies have now gone 10-2 under Rob Thompson's guidance and are 32-31. So, again, I kind of like Girardi, and he had a decent stint with the Yankees, right? He managed the Yankees for, was it almost 10 years?
10 years.
All right. And they won a World Series, I think.
10 years, they won a World Series, yeah.
Yeah. Although that was Joe Torre's team that he won with, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah. So, but anyway, he
kind of won straight away.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, look, maybe this is just a honeymoon period, but I think I heard the other day the Phillies and the Braves both had 9-game winning streaks. Which
that was as of last week.
Yeah, as of last week.
Right.
And I think the Phillies have lost another game since then. So that sort of duality has come apart. But yeah, it was the first time that had happened in years and years.
Yeah, but they both went on a tear, and the fact that firing Joe Girardi, who was going to be the savior of Philly baseball and Phillies baseball in Philly, was the inspiration they needed to start winning.
They've again, it could be a honeymoon period, but they're I don't know what the last night's outcome was, but they were a game over 500 as of that point. So
no, you're right.
And then finally, for those of you that are not on the pickleball wagon yet, you better get with it, because pickleball, as we have talked about, is growing and could very well be the number one sport in, I would say, less than half a decade.
It's getting there, yeah.
And it's expanding, not just in the world of athletics, but also into the world of art and culture. There's a little group called the Purple Rose Theater out in Michigan, of all places. And a guy I used to work, coincidentally, with a million years ago, named Paul Stroley, is part of that group in that theater. And he is a playwright and an actor and just a wonderful human being. And you go ahead and throw the picture up there.
There you go.
Now, this is, if you look at the upper left corner there, a world premiere. Now, this is coming up in September of this year, a play by Jeff Daniels. I don't know if Paul is going to be in that. He might, probably. But play about pickleball, one of the many offerings going on at the Purple Rose Theater in Michigan.
There you go.
So it's not just a sport anymore. It's now the subject of a dramatic enterprise.
Imagine that. That's crazy to think that.
So get on the stick if you're not on the pickleball bandwagon. We got plenty of room. Jump on.
Plenty of room. Harry texted.
We
lost Harry. He said he lost his connection. Good night. So there you go.
He missed the pickleball.
And he said, and Sean Kemp is playing pickleball now.
He might be. He very well might be.
The title of this episode is Sean Kemp Plays Everything. So anyway, all right.
Well, one final quick note.
Sure.
There's been another allegation, I guess, against Deshaun Watson.
Another two, actually.
Another two? Is it two now? Yeah. So apparently, in the legalese, the Browns can void his contract if they want to, because when they signed him, they knew about the first 23. But now there's another one, and there may be more. I don't think
it came out the other day that he actually had 66 different masseuses.
Yeah.
66.
So the real question is,
why do you need 66 masseuses?
Well, because
shouldn't one suffice?
Well, because you can't find one to give you a handy, apparently. And that's what
give
he
him
wanted.
A hand carrying groceries?
A little bit of the velvet hand, let's say.
Oh, the velvet hand. Gotcha.
Yeah. So I think that's what he wanted, and they all refused. So, but here's the question: if there are more allegations, at what point, we're up to 25 now, right? At what point do the Browns have to say, we just can't keep this guy around anymore? Is it 30, 35?
I would say if it hits 30, because it's what? It's at 27 now.
25 or 27. Yeah, I think it's 25. I think it was 23, and they signed him. But so listen, maybe Baker Mayfield's in a better position than we thought. I don't think he's going anywhere.
I think Baker Mayfield made a couple of phone calls, found out some numbers. Said, hey, file a suit. File a suit.
Yeah. Can I'll pay your legal fees. Just file.
Yes, exactly.
So he's he may end up having some leverage, and I don't think the Browns get rid of him. And obviously, Watson's not going to play this season.
Right.
Whenever there's some sort of end to all this, the NFL still has to
finish their investigation.
Yeah, they have to finish their investigation. They have to dole out some punishment. So
right. Well, that's the other thing too, right? The criminal case, I think, is done. It's all civil suits now.
Right. Yeah. But you can get convicted in a civil suit too. You don't go to jail, but
you gotta
cost you money.
Exactly. So, all right. Well, we'll keep tabs on that as well. Insanity at its finest. All right.
Yeah. That's all I got.
There we go. All right. That sounds good to me. Good show. We will wrap it up at that note for today. We want to thank everybody for watching. And for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.getonwithitpodcast.com. That's getonwithitpodcast.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for the Get On With It podcast. And, of course, all of our shows are available on YouTube as well on the Logger Room channel. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night around 7:30 Eastern Time. And for those of you who just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts, and iHeartRadio as well. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you'll never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. Watch a lot of sports, and we will talk to you next week, folks. Take care. Cheers.
Bye, everybody.